we're going to create a new user. We're going to do that by going up to Actions and go to Add a New User. You can see here we have 4 different steps in this process, 4 different forms in our Create the User process. The first one that we have is the username. So I'm just going to use T user for test user. The logon being active is what allows people to log into the system. Whether or not they are current allows you to indicate that this person as a user should be in the drop-down list to do things like assign a case to a advocate or to make a pro bono assignment. Under contact active, that just means that the contact is active in the system. We have an option for the advocate or user type. By default on your system, there will be 2, pro bono advocate or staff. You can certainly create additional ones. There is special programming behind the pro bono and staff differentiation. So you may see places in the system where it asks specifically for pro bono staff or particularly for your regular staff, and that's based on this lookup. You can also establish the user role that governs the permissions that different users can have to view your site. So you may have more restrictive permissions for volunteers or pro bono restricted access than you have for users. You may have more generous permissions for administrators than you may have for users. That's completely up to you and how you want to set up your own site. But I'm going to make this person a volunteer. You can also indicate what office they are in. That office list is up to you to configure, as well as program. So you have general and pro bono by default in your system, but there may be others that you can add. You can also specify a start or an end date at your agency. That's up to you and is not a required field. Next, we're on the contact information. Here you'll be asked the name, which I'm going to fill into test user. You have the work phone or cell phone. You also have an email address. At this point, you can bind to a work address. We'll set the work affiliation on the organizational affiliation page next. If you are going to affiliate this person with an organization, you do not need to enter their own work address. You can bind them to a work address here by leaving this as yes. If you select no, you'll see the individual work street address, the work's additional line, city, state, and zip. But I'm going to bind this to a work address on my next page. This is our organizational affiliation page. This allows you to link a user, whether that's a pro bono user or a regular user, to an organization on your site. You can choose not to do this by just clicking Do Not Set Organization at the top and everything goes away. However, if I set the organization, I have a pull-down list of the organizations that are available on my site. And these are all ones that are entered as organizations up in your Organizations tab. There's a space for the position, the start and end date at that organization. It may be different than the start and end date that we saw in system information, which is the start and end date at your organization. So if this is a pro bono attorney, this lets you put in the start and end date they have maybe at their firm. You can indicate whether or not somebody is an organizational contact. You can also indicate that somebody is an organizational contact. You can also specify the organizational contact type. You can control this in a lookup on your admin side. You can indicate whether or not somebody is a contact for the entire organization. If there are different types of contacts at an organization, you may want to create a lookup or populate this lookup with the organizational contact types, which you can then select here. You can also indicate who somebody's assistant is, their assistant's phone number, and if they're a judge, what the judicial assistant and that judicial assistant's phone number is as well. These are all optional fields, however, so you don't have to enter that information, just the organization if you're going to set an organizational affiliation. The last step to creating a new user is to set a password. Your agency will be responsible for passwords and creating passwords. You can choose not to set a password for a user, in which case that user will show up whenever you have drop-down menus that allow you to assign a case to an advocate, or maybe put a time slip in an advocate's name, but where that advocate will not come onto the site, will not enter that information on their own. This often happens with pro bono programs who may enter time for a pro bono advocate. For your regular users who will access the site, you will want to select yes to needs to change password on next login. This allows you to set a default password, but the next time that person logs on, they will be requested to change their password to one that they remember. You can then just fill in the password, confirm the password, and hit continue. For this person, I am not going to set a password. And I've created my user.